Welcome back to Off the Carousel on Field of 68, our introduction to all 60 plus new coaches in Division One. Today, getting to know new Washington State coach David Riley. Coach Riley won consecutive regular season titles at Eastern Washington and in total won 44 games, I believe, over the last 2 years. Coach, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
I guess I'd start at Eastern Washington, which is where you spent, probably a unique journey and spending your entire coaching career up to this point at that place. Go from GA to assistant to head coach. What did you learn from climbing the ladder literally from the ground up at one school versus having to bounce around the way that a lot of guys do?
Yeah, it's definitely unique talking to all these coaches and seeing it in my family. My dad was a coach's son. He went to 4 different high schools, and so just being able to be at the same place for 13 years was awesome, and kind of got to see the program grow. We were a new coaching staff when I came in as a GA, and so kind of watched that program grow from the ground up, and that's kind of the beauty of doing it all at one place. And so just excited to start that journey here at Washington State now.
What allowed you guys to continue to elevate that program? Obviously, from Jim Hayford, DeShante to you, it just feels like it has been, steadily better and better into being really a perennial contender in that league. Like being there from day one, I guess, what would you say are the big keys that helped you guys break through?
Yeah, it was definitely a mid to lower level Big Sky program when we got there in 2011. And then for now, for the last 5 years, we won a championship, and so it was really cool to see how it grew. And I think the way was just doing it with overachievers, like whatever that looks like, making sure it's all about the players. And I think that was kind of the biggest thing, and it's what we found a blueprint that worked there, and it was just hard work and guys that overachieve in different areas, and that just kind of set the precedent, and guys learn from each other, and that tradition was huge to be able to keep on. And for someone like me, all that success just meant more opportunity to move up, and it was one of those unique deals where I just kind of was in the right place at the right time.
So explain this overachiever thing to me. I know your predecessor at Washington State, Kyle Smith, was obviously big on the analytics and finding guys who, the number said was a better player than maybe the recruiting rankings or the offers and things like that. Like, it seems like you're describing maybe a somewhat similar kind of ethos. Can you take me through what an overachiever looks like at Eastern Washington and what it looks like for you at Washington State now?
Yeah, I just think guys that kind of have a trajectory, that you can really see them growing is something that we really look for, and you can see that in a lot of different areas. Are they doing well in school? Do their teams typically win? Do their teammates gravitate towards them? Just kind of those little things where you can kind of tell what kind of kid a person is, because that's the biggest part. People come into college. Very few kids come into college ready to play. Very, very few. And so when you really look at it, you want to find the kind of kids that are going to take the jump, that have the right habits to take that jump. And because if you really believe in your development and believe that you can get guys better, maybe it takes more than a year, but with that development, you're going to get really, really good players down the line.
How does the development aspect mesh with the portal era, where everyone's common talking point now is, oh, you build a team every year, right? Like for you, how do you see that balance? If you feel like you have to be a program where guys get better, that you have to be a place where people can come over multiple years. How do you build that in 2024 college basketball?
It's tough. I mean, you could be pessimistic and look at it like, well, what's the point? They're just going to leave for bigger money. But the reality is like there's a bigger fish at every step, and so it's going to happen if you have a plan for people, and you have a real vision for them over 2 years, over 3 years, and you show that you're bought into that vision every single day. For the first part of it, I think people can buy into that, and like that's what we've done. We've made it a players program, and you look at the guys who have left. Who left Eastern Washington in the last 3 years since I've been the head coach. It's been a lot of successful guys, like the MVP, multiple MVPs of the league left Eastern. We had guys go to the Big 12, ACC, Pac-12. It's just like a lot of really good players left, and we still continued to win at a very, very high level because we just kept trusting that process for all these different guys. And I just it was just part of the deal now that people leave.
Um, you know, at Washington State, when you got the job, you were able to get, some of your guys. I'm not sure which ones you're able to talk about yet or whatnot, but to get some of those guys to follow you, a lot of those guys did have opportunities to potentially go higher, right? Go for a bigger brand, maybe get more NIL. Like, what did it mean to you as a coach to see those guys want to kind of continue the journey with you at a new stop?
It was really, really a cool thing, honestly. Like, it was an emotional time after that first week. Got the job. They're talking to a bunch of other schools and getting, it's cool to see how much money they're getting thrown at them in these different situations. But for them to come and want to play for me and want to play for this program and this coaching staff just meant the world, right? It's kind of right why you get in the business. Is obviously fun to coach and be around the game, but it's all about the relationships, and to see these guys that are willing to do that and that are bought into this, and it was pretty rewarding feeling. And now we got to make sure we live up to that and have a great season for them.
I think would probably be remiss to talk about Washington State, not talk about the realignment landscape. Obviously, that's not something you can control as the basketball coach, but I'm curious for you, as you were going through this process of wanting this job, how much did it, shape how you viewed it? And then off of that, how much is it something that you have to address when you're dealing with recruits and trying to sell a future vision for this place?
Yeah, I think it's just something we got to talk about. Like, it's happening right now. We're in the WCC for 2 years, but the great thing is when you come on campus and you see the facilities, you see the support we have, you get a feel for kind of like the amount of pull that the alumni base has, and they're a really passionate alumni base. You kind of realize what this is. It's a high major program. We're going to operate the WCC for 2 years, and I'm just excited about kind of what this brand means, and that's kind of what we're selling. And the other piece is the WCC is damn good. Like, there's a lot of NCAA tournament teams that are coming back next year. It's a tough league to play in, and there's NBA scouts at every single game. It's the best of the best.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook. We are going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the year. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. The best part, all you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your own hard-earned money to be eligible. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. BetMGM is going to have some fun offers available throughout the NBA playoffs. Bet insurance tokens, odds boost, and what I love, a nice parlay boost or two from time to time, as well as a ridiculous array of player prop bets for any sport that you could possibly imagine betting on. BetMGM is and always will be the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use the bonus code FIELD, and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share the YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
How cool is it for you guys to, at least in the short term, be conference rivals with Gonzaga? Obviously, a program close by that's one of the biggest brands in college basketball at this point. I know Washington State has kind of been known for being a little isolated and not having a lot of teams around, and pretty much every trip being a pretty big trip. What does it mean to you guys to be able to have that matchup on the books for the next couple of years?
I'm excited about it. I mean, that's the best program in the country over the last 10 years. And I've always, I don't know those guys that well. I know some of the assistants, but like always watching what they do and studying their film and trying to to learn from those guys is the best of the best. And so to be able to play against them is exciting, and excited for that challenge.
Um, I have to imagine like there's obviously a million elements to why you take a job, why you leave, a place that you're having success, et cetera. But the thing you hear over and over when you talk to mid-major coaches is the frustration of being in a one bid league and having your season come down to a few days in March. And you guys felt that at EWU the last couple of years. I'm curious for you. I mean, how much of a deal is it just to be in a league like the WCC where at-large bids are on the table, where your season isn't defined by one bad showing, and how hard those years were, where it felt like you guys did so much throughout the regular season and weren't able to pay it off with the tournament berth.
Yeah, I mean, it was heartbreaking the last couple of years not being able to go, be in the 1 seed after the regular season and feeling that way. But it was also a great mindset to have going into the year, right? You're at Eastern. We were going in, playing against high major teams and games that we weren't necessarily supposed to win, and so we really could have a developmental mindset throughout that fall, throughout the winter. It was all about getting better and making sure we're stacking days to get to the Big Sky play and put us in the best position to go to the dance. And so now, we're scheduling at a level that we want to get in at large. Like, we're trying to find more and more quad ones to come and play, and we're being pretty creative with how we find those games, because that's what our goal is to get that at large, and it's exciting, but it also puts more pressure on those early games, and we got to keep that developmental mindset, but also have a little better success rate in the preseason now too.
Obviously with Kyle at Washington State, so much was like the small advantages, right? And they tried to do it with scheduling, they tried to do it with recruiting. What types of those edges and playing the numbers are you guys doing to try to, I don't know, maybe analytics your way to an at-large bid?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of charting and scouting. I was a math major in college, so I've got an analytical mind, and so we definitely use it. It's really exciting to have a bigger army of support staff here. I just met with our ops guy. We got we're gonna have a bunch of people on computers at practice charting stuff, and we're working with the data analytics program here at Washington State, and so just getting some more tools to make sure that we're in the right spot. But at the end of the day, like, it's about being in the gym and developing guys and watching the film, and those analytics can help kind of paint a picture for these guys. And so it's exciting to have that. We're going to use every tool we can, and I think that's the beauty of somewhere like Washington State, where everyone wants to help, but we gotta do it the same way we did at Eastern.
The thing that always stood out to me about your teams at Eastern were the offenses that you guys put together, especially the last 2 years. Like, I think you're top 10 in the country in effective field goal percentage the past 2 seasons. Like, just really, really high level stuff on that end of the floor. Can you take me through what your offensive philosophy is and how you guys have been so successful in that regard?
Yeah, it's really a concept offense, right? It's very simple. It's pretty fast paced, and as long as you got unselfish guys that can read the game, it works great. Like, it's just based on creating an early advantage and then playing off that. We've been top 10 in the country in assists, or one of those 2 years. We're always up there in those numbers too. And it's like, I think guys play through concepts, they can be creative, and then they play unselfish. It's been a really successful deal. And so we just got to make sure we can bring that same feel, that same unity out to Washington State, and I think it'll be fun to watch.
How do you execute that, in the summer and fall as you try to implement that with new guys? I mean, the type of chemistry and cohesion it takes to run an offense at that level, I think is obviously, critical. And if you are turning over your roster, you're going to have, 5, 6, 7, 8 new guys, or in this case, obviously kind of a whole new group, right? Like, how do you implement that, and how do you get guys, processing the game at a high level from the jump?
I think the summer and that early fall part is the most fun I have as a coach. It's a lot of 3-on-3, putting them in different spaces where they got to make quick decisions or no dribbles or whatever that is, and just teaching the game. Like, I think there's a lot of individual work. There's a lot of one-on-one work that these guys see. But they just understanding the kind of the nuances within those 3-on-3 games is what we really focus on in the summer and the fall. And it's fun. These guys get after it, they compete. And that's kind of just making sure they understand the concepts. And then once we get going in the fall, we build more into 5-on-5. So I think it develops guys too, right? You get more reps when you're out there in 3-on-3 than 5-on-5. If you're competing, you're learning through film. You get a few more reps than just going against 5-on-0 or whatever. So I think something we do a little different, and our guys get better in the summers.
I know you guys have recruited a lot internationally, both at Eastern Washington and now at Washington State. What are the roots of that for you, and why do you think that's a important avenue in 2024?
Well, there's a few reasons, right? I think that the European style is something that we do play a very European style, so those kids come in with an understanding of that. We have one of our assistants is from Spain, and so he's got some connections out there that have been really helpful. And then for me, coming up in the coaching world, I had the opportunity to go to Europe a couple of times with my wife, and we turned those into basketball trips and made some connections out there, and really just wanted to learn the game from their perspective. Watched a bunch of practices of the pro levels, and it's kind of morphed into more and more of an international feel with what we've got over here. And it's important to have a mix. I think we just got people from all over.
Last question for you. You've been a head coach now for a couple of years. You won league championships, et cetera, but you're still just 35, right? And I guess for you as a second time head coach now at the age of 35, what did you learn most from that first opportunity that you've been able to implement here so far at Washington State? And why do you think you're more prepared for this challenge now than you were 4 years ago?
I think just keeping an open mind. Like I had all these, ideas coming into being a head coach my first year, and they all kind of got thrown out the window, and we're just trying to learn every day. Every year is different, especially in this day and age, is just in college basketball. So we're just trying to learn every day and make sure we're putting the guys first.
Awesome, man. Well, David,